My great pleasure to welcome back to the program this morning a Major League All-Star World Series champion, a man with over 2,700 base hits, over 400 stolen bases during his great career. Johnny Damon joins the show. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me again. Everything's been going great on my end, and I hope so for you as well.
Well, thank you, Johnny. Let me jump right in here and ask you because you shaved the beard since you were on the show last time. We were kind of twinning last time. This is a little bit more the New York Yankees, Johnny Damon, little Kansas City Royals look there. I see
Yes.
that you got the hair pulled back. What do you make of the Yankees finally allowing beards? They're finally going soft here on that standard. First of all, tell me, what was it like for you going there and having to adhere to the Yankees policy? And then what do you think about them loosening it all these years later?
Yeah, well, it's definitely their choice what they want to have. I know they probably won't let them have long hair and beard like you, but I think the couple days scruff. I had a appearance the other day at George Steinbrenner Field, and just for my respect for the boss, I shaved when I went there. It's something that I always do when I have a appearance for the Yankees. I shave and make sure that I abide by the rules that Mr. Steinbrenner wanted because he was your boss. He paid your salary, and he was such a great boss. So I just still have that respect, especially for the tradition of the Yankees and putting on the pinstripes. And so I'm going to continue to clean up when I have my appearances with the Yankees, but I know it's not as, um, you don't have to clean up as much, but I'm going to always try to do my best.
Well, Johnny, George Steinbrenner, what was your relationship like with Steinbrenner? Because I mean, that's an impressive level of respect that all these years later it still means that much to you, the Yankees, and being a part of that culture that you actually still feel that way. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Mr. Steinbrenner.
Well, it was fantastic. When they signed me in 2006, I had a meeting with the boss, Mr. Steinbrenner, and he told me he always wanted me. He wished they would have signed me in the winter of 2001 um, to play ball for them. And unfortunately, things did not work out. And I started to talk to him about boats because that was his big industry um, growing up and also for a long time. So being from Florida, I am a very big water guy, so big boat guy, and we discussed boats for 20 minutes and he had a big smile on his face, and I'm so proud to be able to get him his help to get his last championship, and he was the best. He reminds me a lot of Donald Trump. He wants the best out of everybody, and he definitely got the best out of me.
Well, Johnny, you mentioned President Trump. You you and Trump have a relationship, as I understand it, that goes back to 20 years or more. Can you tell me a little bit about how you met Donald Trump and what the nature of your friendship with him has been through the years?
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to sign with the or go to spring training with the Yankees. And right before every season, I like to take my wife on a fantastic trip somewhere. We were planning on going to Mayacopal, Mexico, and spend 3 or 4 days there before the grind of the season. 8 months pretty much committed to trying to win a championship. So I get a call from Donald Trump's team, and they asked me if I wanted to join them in Palm Beach to have a golf tournament because he did have that golf show on the Golf Channel years ago, and it was going to be Derek Lowe and I representing Boston, and David Wright and Donald Trump representing New York. So we had a nice televised, fun day out, and it was amazing. He was funny, charismatic, always to the point, always steps ahead of everybody. And all of his golf courses are top notch. I mean, he brings in the top talent. So the guests and the um, members are taken care of. So, I mean, that's what Donald Trump wants. He wants everyone to go out there and bring their A game every single day.
So, have you caught shit for this? You know, because Trump is one of those guys right now to this very moment, right? He's very polarizing. There's a lot of people that think that he's a fascist, and you hear him called Hitler and all of the hyperbole and everything that goes on with that. Have you caught like shit from your fans who, you know, have a problem with the fact that their baseball hero, you know, is associating with a political figure?
I believe the first time because I'm just there supporting my friend, and I'm not too concerned about it because I know what's right. I know illegal immigrants who are criminals should not be in our country. I know there should be a fair playing field out there, and that's why the tariffs are coming. I understand that. I mentioned to my friends years ago, I was like, is Ukraine ever going to pay us back? I mean, we're giving them so much money, and everybody kind of said, yeah, I don't know how that works out. Well, as we see on the world stage right now, is President Trump's trying to make peace with Russia and Ukraine, and there has to yeah, there's a lot of war going on that nobody ever wants to have. And so I may catch grief. I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, I'm a 51-year-old man with 8 kids, and I worry about my kids' future. I want to make sure that they live in a world that's safe. So I know I have a lot of friends on the right, a lot of friends on the left, and a lot of them agree with Trump's um, policies. They just don't like how strong of a boss he is, and our country needed something like that. And think about it, they
Johnny,
could have been done with Trump. We knew he won the 2020 election. They could have been done with him, and he would have had to deal with the pandemic. He would have had to deal with a lot of um, negative stuff going on. So, you know, they would have just conceded that he did win, he'll be off playing golf and vacationing right now. But right now, there's a lot of work to do, and he's the man to do it.
Johnny, you talk about how you got 8 kids, and you mentioned we didn't have a chance to really get into that last time you were on the show. I've got 5 daughters, so there's not a lot of guys I meet that have both more kids and more daughters than me. I believe you got 6 daughters and 2 boys. Tell me, first of all, how do you balance that, and how much does the perspective of having 8 kids play into how you see our culture and how you look at our society and, you know, kind of how you believe what is right? Because as a parent, as you know, we got to be thinking about the world that we leave for our children.
Yeah, absolutely. And having 8 kids, I'm just so used to it now, and my values have always been the same. You know, I grew up a military kid. There was structure in our household. My parents worked very hard. My mom was a legal immigrant. You know, she married my dad. It took her about 20 years to get her U.S. Citizenship. She did everything she needed to and was working, was paying taxes, was working 3 jobs, doing everything she could for her kids. And I I did the same with mine. She gave me that attitude and the strength to get through just about anything. And I care about our kids' future. As we mentioned, we want it to be a safe country so we don't have to worry about the kids should be able to walk down the street and not have to worry about anything. And hopefully we'll get back to that soon. I mean, we have to put the hardened criminals in jail. We have to keep them there. We understand about the petty stuff in the world, and we do need to give people second, third chances at times, but we also need to educate them in the process to not do it again. Try to tell them what's right and wrong with their actions and try to guide them into the right direction. And having 8 kids, as I mentioned, I'm used to it now. but it was very tough when we had a newborn, a 1 year old, two 3 year olds, a 5 year old, a 6 year old, and two 12 or 13 year olds. So it's a lot easier now. And that's why it's so fun. It's a lot easier to take them on vacation and have a great time with them.
Man, God bless you, Johnny. I'll tell you, uh, they, that's a lot of kids in rapid succession. I will tell you right now. You definitely have earned a chance to go to heaven, as far as I'm concerned. With
Thank
that,
you.
Johnny, tell me, um, one of the things that Trump has done, and he's signed so many executive orders since he's come back into office, but he's talking about how he wants to pardon Pete Rose. And we don't know exactly what that looks like. Of course, Pete had the tax evasion thing years ago. I assume he's referring to that. But where do you stand now that Pete's gone on Pete being eligible for the Hall of Fame? That whole issue. I don't know if you had a chance. I assume through the years you've probably had the opportunity to meet Pete. Where do you stand on the whole Pete Rose gambling and Hall of Fame issue?
Yeah, I always thought Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, the all-time hits leader. Think about all the other big stats in our game. Top home run hitter, top Cy Young Award winner. Like none of those guys ever tested positive. And getting back to Pete Rose, I mean, he bet on his team. I bet on my team all the time, and you're together for 8 months, 2 months in spring training, 6 months during the season, and perhaps even longer. So you're always going to bet on your team. Um, you're in a battle for 8 months. And so if he bet on his team to win, so be it. And yes, I understand the tax evasion stuff. And we can always go back and say people aren't perfect. There's a lot of stuff that baseball players have to do during the course of the season. You're not at home. You get paperwork sent to your house. You get um, files like we had to file in every single state, every single city. They made it very difficult for us, and rightfully so. Or but that's why we have our accountants to take care of what needs to be taken care of. But there's so much that baseball players had to worry about. I'm not sure about what kind of tax evasion he did, but unfortunately, he's gone. And unfortunately, he did not get to see himself in Cooperstown. And hopefully, one day soon, he will be in Cooperstown.
Yeah, I would love to see it as well. I mean, I grew up in Kentucky. The first ballpark I ever got to go to was Riverfront Stadium, and you drive down Pete Rose Way to get there, and it just doesn't seem right that Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame's already full of a lot of other imperfect people. I wish that it could have happened in his lifetime, Johnny. Speaking of things that people talk about as being good for baseball or not good for baseball. Man, the Dodgers. Johnny, I mean, look, I'm sure if you were back in your prime in the era, you would. Hey, listen, if the Dodgers came calling for prime Johnny Damon, you would have picked up the phone. I'm sure. They're spending a lot of money. They're obviously committed to winning. There are, teams are crying, fans are crying. They're trying to buy the World Series. What do you think about that whole issue?
Well, I wish the Dodgers would have had some money back in the day because when I was leaving Boston, the Dodgers was one of the teams that I really wanted to sign with. I found a perfect house up in um, Trump, Palos Verde. He had a golf course there. I was planning on buying a house there and enjoying a couple years there. And they told me they didn't have money after they signed Rafael Furcal, and so therefore shifted my attentions directly to the Yankees. So I can't believe there's not a luxury tax anymore. I think it's great for the ball players. I think it's great for the owners that they don't have to worry about all this nitpicking. But the Dodgers have a big market, and there's reason why New York and LA are always one of the best out there in every single sport. And the Dodgers are doing everything legal, and it's tough on the smaller franchises like the Kansas City Royals, like the Cincinnati Reds, and it's the Dodgers to me are going to win the World Series again this year, but it is tough to win. They still have to go through some juggernauts like Philadelphia, but their odds are looking pretty good.
Johnny, let me get your opinion on this because you know a little something about stealing bases. In fact, I think whoever it is that's the current active leader in stolen bases, they have less than you. I know they're under 400. I know that the stolen base is coming back now because of the changes that they've made rule wise. I had your old teammate Kurt Schilling on the show on Friday, and Kurt said of all the rules that have changed, the one that, in his opinion, affected things the most was limiting pickoff throws to two
Yes.
for a base runner. Um, Johnny, I mean, how much do you lick your chops at thinking about playing with the modern rules? And how many bases does 28-year-old Johnny Damon steal under 2025 rules?
Yeah, shoot, that's a great question. And what a great new rule for fast guys. I believe I would probably steal around 80 bases a year, easy. I mean, there's been plenty of times in my career where I had to dive back six, seven times and go back to the bag quite a bit. I mean, I was always a threat when I was on the base, and it just makes it a lot easier now. I know pitchers are going to find a way through, like maybe. I always thought it was tough when a pitcher came set and then just went because a lot of times the base runners just aren't ready to go. But if a pitcher sits there for a little bit, it gets a lot easier for the hitter, for the runner, and but if they hold the ball too long, it's an automatic ball. So it's tough for pitchers to keep guys from stealing bases now, 100%.
How much does that take out of you as a runner? I mean, obviously you're in supreme condition during your career always, but when you got to go back to that bag and dive back five, six times, what's the toll that just that kind of thing? Because you think about how many times you're on base. You're a 300 hitter. Think of
Yeah.
how many times you're on base. In the course of a season, how many times are you just diving back to first and putting that wear and tear on your body? I don't think people think about that enough.
Yeah, well, that wear and tear, you take it home with you because if you're diving back into first base, your hands are all cut up by sometimes they have the little gravel with the dirt after rain and all that stuff to dry the field up. Um, your elbows are all beat up and red and scratched up, your knees, all that stuff diving back. It doesn't just take a toll that night during the game. Over time, over the course of the season, you're constantly walking in and putting neosporin on every single part of your body. And so that wear and tear was a little bit tougher on me because it hurt. All that stuff hurt. No one likes to have cuts on their elbows and hands, and you use your hands, and if your hands are beat up, you really can't grab the bat like you want to all the time. And there's been some times where I've had gravel stuck in my hands, and I've had my batting gloves on, and they would still get through there, get through my skin, and yeah, it's not fun diving back. But now they've made it slightly easier, so these base runners will have another big year.
All right, John. Let's have a little bit of fun here today before we get you out. I mean, I'm already having fun, but let's have a little bit of fun of the growing up in the generation that we grew up in. You're a couple of years younger than me, but I know we speak the same language when it comes to the TV shows and the movies and the music that we were listening to. Take me back to when you were growing up, when you were, just coming into being a teenager, 12, 13, 14 years old. What was the music that you were into? What were the TV shows that you liked back then?
Oh wow, that definitely changed a lot. Growing kid, I guess, a youngin, I was listening to John Denver because my dad was listening to him on the radio quite a bit. By the time I got to say 10 to 12 years old, got to see Rat and Poison in concert, and that was absolutely amazing. I fell in love with Poison. They became my favorite band for a while. I also loved Duran Duran, and then we also had that phase where NWA came out with just incredible music to me and Ice Cube. I think he's an absolute legend, and not just musically, but as an actor. So started listening to that, and then getting back to Major League Baseball, I needed to get pumped up a lot. So I am a huge metalhead. Um, loving Disturbed and Breaking Benjamin. One of my favorite um, bands of all time is Seven Dust and band Trivium out of Orlando, Florida here. And I also know a lot of the boy bands. So a bunch of them grew up here in Orlando. So I know the Backstreet Boys. I know NSYNC a little bit better. So the wide range of music I have, and now having six girls, I'm listening to everything on the radio, like I mean, there's so many songs out there, so much catchy things, and you have to roll with the punches and try to make sure your entire family is happy with what music's on every single day we have at the house.
Look at you. You know the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you know the moves back in the day, Johnny? Could you have hopped up there and given a little bye 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 back in the day
I,
with those guys?
I always like to say that I was going to be the sixth in sinker. But they only wanted to go with five, so I didn't have to audition. So, but yeah, those guys um, became so huge and still great guys to this day.
All right, Johnny, crushes. We all had our crushes back in the day. Who were your main childhood adolescent crushes?
Oh man, I really loved Heather Thomas. I thought she was something else. Um,
Good call.
everybody loved Brooke Shields, but Heather was my girl.
Yeah, people always talk about Heather Locklear or Heather Thomas.
Yeah,
You're on team
yeah, for
Heather
sure.
Thomas. All
And
right, I see. All
both
right,
gorgeous.
yeah, there are no bad options there. Hey Tim, throw up the poll of the day before Johnny gets out of here. Let's let Johnny chime in on America's poll of the day. Why don't we? All right, Johnny. So every day I throw four things up, and they're just four random things. And my goal is always to kind of see if I can come up with four things where it comes out 25, 25, 25, 25 when people vote. It rarely ever works out that way. But we just throw things together. My producer, Tim, today did today's poll. We got Tic Tacs, Asteroids, the arcade classic, Mr. T, and California Girls by the Beach Boys. Which one of those four things is most appealing to you?
California girls, sure.
There it is. Tim's telling me in my ear now that it's David. It was the David Lee Roth version, Tim. I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah.
There it
Oh,
is. Oh. Well, I didn't know that, Tim. All right. Well, either way, David Lee Roth version or the Beach Boys. Yeah,
oh, yeah,
Johnny,
David Lee
tell me. I,
Roth for
lo- I
me.
love the t-shirt. Yeah, yeah. The David Lee Roth. There's my tweet. I said the Midwest Farmer's Daughter really makes you feel all right. Brian Wilson and Mike Love wrote it, but I never truly believed it until I heard it from David Lee Roth. Johnny, look, hey, I've been looking at your shirt here this whole interview. Tell us a little bit about A Game hydration. I know that's something you're doing and that you're really excited about.
Yeah, always got to go out and pump the brand because I always feel like you have to bring your A game at all times. Very clean drink, no artificial flavors, coloring, no forever chemicals, and we taste great. Number one thing with cleaner, healthier drinks, a lot of them don't taste great. We taste great. We have six flavors, 12 SKUs, and we are doing a great job. We have a strong team working for us with the World Cup coming next year. We have Tyler Adams on our team. Caleb Downs just won the national championship. So, Bo Jackson, everyone who knows Bo knows he was the best athlete of all time. And yeah, so a lot of great things happening, and we're going to continue to bring our A game so we can make sure everybody has a chance to try it.
There you have it. That black cherry pomegranate caught my
Yes.
eye as it was scrolling past. That sounds like it would hit the spot right now, Johnny, if I'm being honest with you. Listen, my brother, I appreciate it. It's always fun to have you on the show. I thank you and have a good one, my man.
All right. Thank you, Ricky. And Always bring your A game. DrinkAgame.com.